What's going on, guys? Grab a pen and jot this down. Today we're going to talk about the future of robotic independence, why this is important, and how it's going to play out over the next 20 to 50 years. First up, what is robotic independence? Robotic independence is the future of full autonomy of computers. And I'm talking about the entire machine mindset, from the smallest piece of electronics down to we're talking large robotics, large machines, bigger than cars. We're talking about, I think there's a cruise liner behind me. So if you can see that thing back there, down to anything that can basically drive itself. And I'm talking about full autonomy, meaning all you do is communicate either by voice, by typing, by any set of human digital interaction, any interface like that, and just say, hey, I want to go from point A to point B, take me there. What will it cost to get there? What's the price in electricity, not gas? So let me explain some of the fundamentals of what I think this is. This is a thesis that I've been building. It's in its smallest atomic unit at the current moment. But let's talk about the future of robotics to begin with. Today, if you haven't already, I recommend driving a Tesla car. Full autonomy, self-driving is a miracle. Once you get in it, you realize how many things that your mind is working on when you're driving a car that are just irrelevant. You're paying attention to what trees are going and what cars are going in what direction, what trees are doing in different parts of the landscape. If you're avoiding obstacles, if you're driving at 55 miles per hour versus 65, there's so many things that are going on in your mind. It's something like 30,000 calculations per second. When you get into a car that's autonomous, you no longer have to think about that. Your brain processing power reduces to like a walking mentality state. And at that point, you're like, okay, I don't need to think about driving anymore. I simply need to get from point A to point B. Once you realize your processing power drops, it's not running at 99% RAM, it's running at 2%. You can begin doing other things with your time. And that's what Elon and Tesla are really pushing for today. And that's all powered by software and a combination of great hardware and engineering. And that's stage one. Once people begin to get comfortable with that, it'll be really hard to say why you should be driving a car unless you're a car fanatic, and you love driving. At that point, it's leisure and hobby. It's no longer something that's required by people to do just to get from point A to point B. The same thing is the case with like pilots and drivers. You don't need them. You'll need robots to do that. And you just maybe need one person to monitor 100 robots and make sure they're following the laws, make sure everything is going fine. If there's a problem, someone can remotely do it from another desktop, and they could do this and monitor hundreds of cars. There's one or two security companies that do this really well with virtual cameras. But what does robotic independence actually mean? In my mind, robots today exist in different forms. The first form right now is cars. I mentioned that. Number two is drones. And the third one is actual physical robots. This is most well seen in fulfillment centers. Amazon's got great videos about this, about like picking up packaging, storage, fulfillment, shipping. They do so many things that are just automated, so that way they could process hundreds of thousands of orders in a minute, and robots are taking care of all of this. So how would I do robotic independence? Cars are the simplest, and drones, they basically you can switch them. If I'm sitting in an apartment right now and I'm thinking about going to the airport, how would I get there? I would call an Uber. I would drive a car and ask a friend to drop me off. How would I do this in the future? Maybe 10, 15 years from today, I would go to the Tesla app. I would go to any app, maybe just Google, and say, hey, I need to get from point A to point B. I'm right next in Hoboken in New York. I'll say I need to get to the nearest airport. I don't care which one. Give me whatever the availability is on a flight and the pricing. And if it's within reach and convenient for me, I'll pay for it. All right, what's the cost to get to the airport? $15. I don't care what car it is. That's how Uber works today. I don't even care who the driver is. I really just need to pay some fee to get there. And let's say it's $15. What would happen in a full self-driving mode? I would send a message out to the internet. So I send it out to some network. It could either be through Tesla's app or through Uber's app or through Google search engine. It doesn't matter. I say, all right, I need to leave at 2:55 p.m. I need to catch my 4 p.m. flight. Uh, one of the computers will message Tesla and say, all right, we need a Tesla available on 15th Street. Get him to Newark Airport within 15 minutes. It's going to cost $20. I'll be all right, that's fine. The car will drive itself from its charging station, get to my location. It'll pick me up at 2:55 p.m. and then I will sit in the car. There'll be no driver. It'll be fully controlled by a computer, and it will just drop me off like a taxi does today. But since there's no driver, I won't have to worry about any inconvenience. I won't have to worry about talking to anybody. There won't be any additional layers. I'll just simply get in a car. It will know it's me because I'll match my phone's identity with my personal digital wallet, and it can take a picture or fingerprint. Doesn't make a difference. It can have multiple ways to verify my identification. And then I'll get to the airport. Obviously, just like Uber and Lyft do, you could just simply have it automatically pay and maybe even tip the car. Now, why would you pay or tip an electric vehicle that's autonomous? Let's say it's either owned by anybody. Like, it could be owned by Tesla, it could be owned by Uber, it could be owned by Hertz, it could be owned by an individual. Why would I pay a car directly? This is what I mean by robotic independence. I'll pay a car directly so that it does two things. One, it's doing the task. It is physically doing the task for me that a person is not doing, so I should be paying a robot. And I'll be paying them for the time use. So if I need a 15-minute block per hour and someone else is going to need the car after me, the car will figure out how to allocate that time block. Not me, not Uber, the car will. And say I could do this based on the traffic, based on the usage. And then I'll get to the battery part, which is most important. So I'm paying them for $10 for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever the travel time is. And the second piece, because it's an electric car, I will pay per usage. So let's say it costs, just costs $5 to travel. I don't know how far the airport is in this case. So I will pay the car $10 for time and $5 for charging itself. And now I'm paying the car, and it has a meter, because you can look into a Tesla car's battery slot and say, all right, how much, what's the distance, what's the cost per charge, whatever the voltage use case is, whatever the metric they use, and say, all right, these are kilowatts per distance. And I'll say, all right, I'll pay you $5. The car will now go to a station and charge itself. And now think about how many obstacles we've removed by having full autonomy and independent robotics. I've paid the car. It doesn't matter who the owner is. It could choose to pay the owner, or I could pay a premium for like an Uber service or a Tesla service. But the car now will go ahead, will drive itself from point A to point B. Doesn't matter who the owner is, so I don't care. And then two is it will charge itself. And this is a new use case for robots that you don't see today. Once a robot is independent, it simply needs enough money or tokens in its electronic address. Either in this case could be an IP address, could be a crypto wallet address, could be anything online and on chain. I'll simply pay a digital address and say, hey, this is worth $5. You're gonna need $3 to charge up, and you keep $2 in premium, and maybe that's the cost of like maintenance and service. And that's the upkeep of the car. And I pay the car directly, and the owner will take money out of the car as they see fit. If you transfer ownership, you do rental, doesn't matter. Once you have robotic independence, the car will do all the tasks on its own. You no longer have to monitor or manage the car. It will do it itself. Until it has a problem, a human doesn't have to interact or be involved with the situation, which is the beauty of robotic independence. And this same case goes for drones, which is why it came to my mind. And the last stage is obviously physical robots. But drones also today have a use case. There are a lot of them flying around. Walmart and Amazon are testing these shipping vehicles. And it came to my mind the other day when I was sitting in my apartment, and I'm thinking, hey, I need to buy something. Let's just say like a toothbrush or toothpaste, because I ran out of toothpaste. But even if I was going to go on Amazon, I would have a minimum order. It may take at least an hour. If I have to walk to the convenience store to buy a $2 item like a Colgate or Crest toothpaste, it doesn't matter. It's probably more expensive than that. But it doesn't make sense for me per my time, right? Like, what would it doesn't even if the CVS or Walgreens was next to my house, I'd have to walk at least 10-15 minutes getting there, buying something I'm looking for, and then walking back. It's going to cost at least 20 minutes of my time, and that is worth something in terms of money. And the reality is a drone can do this really well, and it can do this more efficiently than a human because of several factors. One, it could consolidate multiple transactions, and two, it would be more efficient in terms of timing. So it could go around and it could go pick up items, and it could make it much easier for anybody that wants this. So if you live in an apartment building like the ones that I'm standing next to, there could be a drone. Like I'll use Roomba as a vacuum example next. But a drone there could be a central drone sitting in the apartment's common area. I could tag it, I could message it, I could ping it and say, hey, go to CVS, please pick up a toothpaste and toothbrush. I'll send you $2. The payment will be done through either Amazon or some other payment provider, and or through the CVS app. It doesn't matter. I don't care how it gets delivered to me, but if you're a drone or you're a vehicle of that sort, you can just simply go. It'll take you 8 minutes to get there. You'll pick up the device or the package and bring it back to my apartment or my house. That entire thing might cost like $5-6. So it's probably comparable to the cost of doing some prime shipping 2-hour delivery. But the reality is, I no longer have to leave my apartment to do that. I could go ahead and focus on something else. The important piece is the speed and timing factor. I'm not going to waste 20-30 minutes, and I don't have to wait an hour, 2 hours, 3 days for Amazon or any other shipping service to provide this service to me. And the drone will close that timing gap. And the real gap there is that it's inconvenient for a human to be sitting in one part of the city to come to the location that's most convenient to me and then pick up something from a store that's just out of the way. But a robot doesn't care, and a robot will do whatever it's told, and you'll just pay it like a toll. So I could pay it a couple of bucks, and it could do 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 transactions like this per hour. It could package items. It could do this for a real level of convenience, which you're getting from a convenience store, but you never have to go to the store anymore, which I also think on another video maybe I'll do, is convenience stores will just become large vending machines one day. And then the last piece, I'm not going to talk about full robotics, like C3POs or something like that right now, but I will talk about like a Roomba quickly. You know, you can do the same thing. A Roomba vacuum is basically the same thing as a drone, but if you hire a cleaning service in your apartment tower, you could share a Roomba in the tower, and you could pay the Roomba to do cleaning on demand. And this is something that hasn't been done yet because Roombas aren't online and they're not on chain yet. But payment to a specific robot to do a task like vacuuming is a very, very possible today. It's the same type of mechanics of paying a drone or having a car do self-driving or full autonomy. And I think Roombas have this potential. I don't think it will be done anytime soon because there's a level of convenience that hasn't been figured out yet, but it has high potential of being done. And it's a really good example of where I would pay a machine to do a task. I don't want to own the machine, nor do I need it taking up space. So in an apartment building, maybe I don't have space to have a Roomba machine locked up in my secured in the kitchen floor area. Maybe I'll just have it in a common area in a building, and it could do Roomba vacuuming for 300 units versus my 300 square foot apartment. And I think that's a really good example of where robotic independence, where the important piece is that you pay robots to do a task, and you don't care who the owner is, you don't care what task they're paid to do, or who owns it, or how it's being utilized before and after. Robots will simply do tasks as they're told, and that's the future as I see for robots.